Hey, hold on, real quick. Hold on. Pause.
Preferred means of communication. So this is a good deep topic right here. I let you dribble it out, set the play since you kind
All right,
of
so let
you
me
run
just start
point.
with asking kind of a question. You know what I'm saying? I guess that'll kind of convey it better. So, what are your in 2020? You know, like with all the technology that we've been through, and you know what I'm saying, you living life social. You know, we didn't go to school throughout social distancing or anything like that. What is your preferred means of communication?
Whenever possible, I prefer in person, face to face,
Uh huh.
because I feel like I'm not a big small talk fan. Like, hey, so what? How's work going?
Right.
What have you been up to? You
Right.
know, like I like more of like, hey, so hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
Who's going to win? Like, oh shit, okay. I like essay prompts. You know, give me shit that I can just kind of talk about out of nowhere. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like you know people better from those questions too because you see how they think, you see the kind of things that interest them most. You know, so that's why I like in person because I feel like that just organically will happen. Like if you
Right.
text people sometimes out of the blue, like, hey, this or that, they'll like, what? This is irrelevant. Like some people just
Yeah.
won't respond. And you're like,
Yeah.
dude.
And it's like, come on, man.
But I will say, if I had to rank them, that's number one, in person. Number two is the opposite, which is texting. Because I'm a very deliberate person, like
Uh
with action. Like if I'm doing something, I like to be doing it, right?
huh.
So like if I'm with people in person, what I'm doing is hanging out with people. Like everything else taking a back seat. I might be cooking or drinking while I'm doing it, but like what I'm doing is hanging out and having conversation.
Right.
When I'm not in person, I like to be able to do something, focus on that. At that point, conversation is kind of a sidebar. Like the text, like I can leave a comment and then step away from it and then come back and comment back on the conversation and step away. You know, I can kind of multitask.
Mm-hmm.
Phone calls, I feel like, are the worst because you have to sit here like this with the shit in your ear. You can't do really anything else. Like if you're in the car, you can kind of multitask,
Right.
but I'm still driving, but also talking on the phone. Whereas I feel like most people are talking on the phone and also driving. If you know
Yeah.
what I mean, like that's
Yeah.
dangerous. So I really don't like
And
talking
they're
on the
more
phone.
talking on the
much.
phone.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
people, you know. But like talking on the phone is difficult because I'll be sitting there and then usually somebody I'm with interrupts or the hey, and I'm like, ugh. Or there's always the delay. So it's like, hey, no, oh no,
Yeah.
you go for, you go for. What were you gonna? Okay, I'll just shut up now. And then there's that where you both shut up, and then okay, what are you gonna? You know, so like that's why I'm like, all right, give me texting in person number one, texting after that. Actually, I'd probably put even FaceTime ahead of phone calls now because I
Okay.
feel like if I
Okay.
FaceTime, that's what I'm doing,
Right.
and
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
of like
Okay.
an active like you
Touche.
have to gather like it's an engagement. Like I'm like
Right.
in it. Whereas if I'm on the phone, I'm doing something else. Like
Yeah. All right. So mine probably will always be face to face. You know what I'm saying? Like number one,
right.
just because like that's the easiest. Like that's the way you can always tell somebody's tone. You can when you look them in the eye, you see the facial expressions and shit. Like you know what I'm saying? You can tell like what they talking, whatever it is they're saying. You can tell the tone of it. You know, with my number two would be FaceTime because it's just like that, but just over.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just over the phone. Now, and I say that because like you would think that it would be texting because texting is kind of like the easiest because like you don't really have to talk. Like your conversation is pretty discreet. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like texting is kind of reserved to like some shit that like, like don't like if we're talking about something like serious or if we're just shooting the shit. I'd rather you call me because the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to text you for 3 hours when I could have had a like 3 or to 30-minute conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when you're texting, you like are always like doing something else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think part of it too, though, I like to write. and I'm more of a.
You like a fast texter.
Yeah, well,
You
I
like
write
fucking paragraphs and shit, like fucking like.
Well, and
seconds.
I think that's why, because sometimes it's sometimes a more efficient means of communicating than even talking. Sometimes, because I mean, I can talk with the best of them. I feel like I can keep a conversation going. I can talk about whatever.
Right.
I'm good with that, but I'm very long-winded too. So I feel like when I text, I'm like, here's everything I had to say. Here's my chunk. Yeah, it's more like you're taking turns, right? Because I know like I'm long-winded. Let me just get all this out because I'll forget, and I feel like it's some good shit. It's probably 90% of the time you didn't have to know it, you know, but like I just felt like you had to know it. But I think it's also kind of like why I would prefer texting over a phone call. But I like FaceTime too, though, and I will say like with work and working from home and being remote, there's a lot more of like the Zoom meetings for everything. But that's different than a FaceTime because there's kind of like if we do a Zoom, we do our pre-production, or when we do our, our basically our podcast, when we're not in the same spot. That's fun. That's different. But when you do it for work, you kind of have that initial anxiety.
Yeah.
Like,
because you got to be prepared in a way.
Well, it's like when you go to the doctor or the dentist's office, you know they're going to call your name. And even if you're there just for like a standard checkup, like you don't really care. It's just that it's like the teacher calling you to the front of the room.
Yeah.
You kind of get that like, oh shit. Okay. Like even going to the dentist, like, okay,
you got
I know.
That boner and shit.
Yeah. Especially at the dentist. Oh, hey. Nah, that would be terrible. I would just be late. I'd just be like, hey, I had to change my tire.
Nah, but if you're in the waiting room already.
Yeah, then you're fucked.
Yeah. Like what if like the reception is like kind of bad? Because she's like still in college and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Not in my dentist's office.
This is like an old lady with like
they're like nice, friendly, like prettier older ladies. But
the dentist, why do they always got a big ass bowl of candy?
Always.
Like they do that shit to like test you, huh? Because
like
the dentists always talk shit about your teeth. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're never good enough.
I know.
And it's like, nigga, like you like do the work, fool. Like, what the fuck do you mean? You know what I'm saying?
You know what the funny thing is about the dentist is
maybe it's because I smoke. They always talk shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But like, they'll have the person that cleans your teeth, and then they'll have like the hygienist or whatever. Then they'll have the dentist come, look, make sure there's no cavities or whatever. It's funny though because those motherfuckers will be thorough, right? The hygienist is digging in my shit.
Yeah.
Plaque, all that shit, brush them up, flossing 3 times. Thorough as fuck, right? It's almost like they're brushing your teeth for like 30 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how thorough they are, the dentist always like has to scrape something off.
Yeah.
Like, he comes over with his glasses on, and he's like, let me look.
Something they missed. It's like a critique. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'd
be rolling my eyes the second.
We used to be like creative writing or like some dumbass like English class or some shit, and like you have to write a paper and you got a 95 on that shit. It's like, yo, what the fuck? Come on, fam. It's like, yo, how the fuck did I get a 95?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and like especially if it's not a grammatical error, anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how the fuck did I get it? Like, what did you not? Because you didn't critique shit. You know what I'm saying? Like. There wasn't something written to the side of my paragraph or whatever. Like, you gave me a 95. Like, what the fuck? Like.
What's the difference in like a 95 and a 94 or a 96? But when you're in school, your grades matter. That, like, it's a number that basically ranks you and says, oh, you'll get into these colleges. But I will say this, though, like, outside of school, where it's just an arbitrary number, that's a good place to be because you're like, damn, I feel really confident with my shit, but I know there's still room to grow. But if you're taking grades at school, that sucks because if you had like an 84 on something, now your average is an 89.5, or, I guess then you'd bump up. If you have like an 83, it's like, if you give me that one more point, we would be in,
Right, but then you got to negotiate with your bitch ass teacher and shit like that.
That's why school
and
like that sucks.
And that's like fucking kind of awkward. You know what I'm saying? First of all, like it should be automatic round. You know what I'm saying? Like in a way, because think about this. What if you were like some hot chick? You know what I'm saying? And like you got like an 89.5. And that's like your final grade because like it's down to the point or whatever. You got to go negotiate to try to get that fucking A.
Sometimes they'll round. I mean, most of the time I feel like they'll round up, but if it's like a 0.4, here's what I have a funny story about this actually. I think it was
You do?
no, not that, not that. I had I think it was 10th grade. I had chemistry, and I had like a 90 average, like 90.5 or something like that. And we were coming up on the exam, the first semester.
Finals?
I remember, yeah. And I remember chemistry, I was like, that's kind of like one of the more difficult ones.
Yeah, chemistry was ass.
Like I got 90 in there because I feel like the math part I killed it, like I was good with the math, but like all the memorization of all the elements.
Yeah, you got but remember
stuff.
names? They got like all extra long and shit.
But I was like, all right, 90. I'm like, this one's a little bit tough. And I'm always like the delayed gratification. Like they always do that kid experiment with, hey, have one marshmallow now or two later. I'll wait for the two later. I save the best for last. I eat my favorite food last when I eat a plate of shit, So I was like, this class sucks. Like it was fun, it was good, but it was hard. I was like, I'd rather not worry about it in the spring. So I'm gonna exempt it then. And you couldn't exempt the same test 2 semesters in a row. So my teacher pulls me up and he's like, Mike, you're at a 90 right now. He's like, I really think you should exempt this exam and then you'll get a 90 for this semester. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I think I'm gonna take it. He's like, I mean, it's never a problem to bet on yourself, but I would probably just take this one safe. So I didn't really study. I got like an 80 on it. So I ended up getting a B in the class.
That bring you down.
So it was like 88.7. So I mean, I was like, I don't know what the moral of that story is, but it is kind of like, yeah, that sucked. Like, okay, I know there's room to grow, but motherfucker, give me an A. I wish I had it.
Right. Because you were trying to.
He tried to guide me, though. He did.
So, okay, so like chemistry, that class, that was like one of those 2 semester classes.
I think I got an A the next semester, though.
Okay. But like, you didn't have to take a final the next semester, right?
The next one I didn't have to, no.
So
I think it was more like a 92.
You were kind of just saving for the time and because you knew it was going to be the end of the year and shit like that.
But so I mean, had I got that...
You took the risk. That's just taking a risk.
True. And I mean, granted, I could have taken that final and gotten like a 60 and still got a B. But I think, I ended up probably with like a 92, somewhere a little bit more of a safer A. So if I had that same test grade, I probably would have had an A in 2 semesters. But second one could have been more difficult. So, yeah, I feel you. I don't know what the moral of that story is other than don't at me.
Yeah. I mean, like, shit. I don't know. Like, you just remembered it. Yeah, sometimes I'd be like, just remembering random ass stories that have nothing to do with shit. Like, and I'll just bring them up.
You just laugh and think about it. I gotta tell somebody.
Yeah, I gotta tell somebody about this shit. Like, I've been hanging out with the little kid or whatever, working on his basketball and shit because he, you know what I'm saying? He's, you know what I'm saying? He good or whatever, but like he got some work to go,
Yeah.
And it keeps me working out too, So like it's real good. But like I was telling I found out that he went to the same high school, or he going to the same high school that I went to. So I'm like telling him like all about like just like how it was, and he's just like, What? That's like totally different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm like still like telling I was like, oh man, like it was fucking great. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, it sucks now.
It was fun, man. We had good times back then.
Hell yeah, man. I feel sorry for the kids
1.
now. I feel sorry for the kids now, man. It sucks because like
no school.
They can't like okay, that goes back to the communication thing. They can't like communicate really with their teachers or their peers anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's just like shitty. And like even with learning, like I'm not gonna lie, bro. I hated online classes. Like, like that shit. It's just like it's a difference between like going, like to class, going to like lecture, and like your teacher actually kind of being like, yo, shut the fuck up, or like listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like type shit. Then like you got all this shit going on and you got to look at this fucking screen, just like you were saying, like with the.
It's harder as a kid because you don't have as much of the attention span that you have when you're older,
Right. But I mean, we still don't have the fucking attention span nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's even worse for those kids now
because we're all entitled,
Yeah. I mean,
I've been working hard.
Yeah.
We do work hard, man.
But I mean, like but still, we could do so much like at the same time, like we can have all these things going, like you were saying earlier about like if you're cooking, you usually like listening to like something, or like on FaceTime on the phone, like I don't know, man, like we have no problems.
Yeah, that was a good one.